Hi there. Today we'll be looking at the character of Macbeth. So, grab a pen, grab a pencil, whatever you need, grab the play if you have it to hand, and let's dive right in. Macbeth is the play's protagonist. He is the embodiment of the tragic hero, being a great man who, over the course of the narrative, falls from grace in his greedy pursuits. He is ultimately toppled by his fatal flaw, ambition. In Act 1, Scene 2, he is portrayed as Duncan's valiant cousin, a brave defender of the realm who is unwavering in his loyalty to the king. The supposedly chance meeting with the witches that the audience see to be a premeditated act on their part changes this. Shakespeare exposes how susceptible Macbeth is both to supposedly fair prophecies of the witches, as well as the evidently foul manipulation of him by Lady Macbeth. Between them, they see Macbeth transform from a courageous and reflective, yet ambitious man, to the tyrant, hellhound and villain described by Macduff in Act 5, Scene 8. One of the most significant aspects of Macbeth's portrayal is that he retains the sympathy of the audience throughout, in spite of all the terrible atrocities which he has committed. This is achieved through Shakespeare's deft handling of Macbeth's innermost thoughts, which he reveals to the audience by means of soliloquy or through dialogue with his wife. Macbeth is not only a courageous soldier, he is also a husband, and later in Act 1 he appears in a more domestic setting with his wife. Lady Macbeth is already of the opinion that she must chastise her husband into seizing the crown, since he believes Macbeth to be too full of the milk of human kindness to do wrong of his own accord. Lady Macbeth's acknowledgement of Macbeth's good nature earns him the sympathy of the audience. In so doing, Shakespeare is able to heighten the impact when Lady Macbeth is able to bend his better judgment into killing Duncan. Lady Macbeth uses a host of different strategies to convince Macbeth to murder Duncan. She emasculates him by attacking his manhood, and she throws into question the extent of his loyalty to her. The bravery of her speeches rouses Macbeth's capacity for evil. She appeals to his combative nature by presenting the act of regicide as a great quell, and like the witches, she convinces him that he cannot fail. What Lady Macbeth fails to foresee is the damaging consequences the pressure she places on Macbeth will have both on her and her marriage. Initially, Macbeth appears slightly unhinged by having done the deed. He is unable to return to Duncan's chamber to replace the daggers. He begins to hear voices and immediately regrets his actions. He comes to realise that through his actions, he has come to lose his true self. Later, Macbeth becomes hardened to murderous act. He murders Duncan's grooms in cold blood and appears to think little of murdering his once dear friend Banquo. He regrets the escape of Fleance, and, in an act of sheer malice, has the entirely innocent family of Macduff slaughtered. His kingship brings him little satisfaction. The knowledge that he has forfeited his immortal for Banquo's issue torments him to no end. However, the fact that he articulates his mental torment suggests that he still has a vestige of conscience left, despite his murderous acts, and the audience is never fully alienated from him. As he becomes more distant from his queen, and as his noblemen begin to defect to support Malcolm's claim to the throne, Macbeth returns to consult the witches, only to have his worst fears about Banquo's issue confirmed. He takes some comfort from the witches' hollow assurances that none of woman born shall harm Macbeth, but his life has become meaningless to him. Even before he hears of the death of his wife, Macbeth admits to himself, "I have lived long enough." Macbeth's tragic recognition that his life is a tale told by an idiot is reinforced when he is confronted by Macduff, and made to realise that he has been deceived by the witches. He sees himself as the victim of these juggling fiends that patter with us in double sense, by choosing to try the last. The audience experiences the pity and fear intended in the tragedy as we see the usurper's cursed head for the last time, and compare that remnant of Macbeth that we see before us with the fearless warrior of Act 1, fighting to defend his king and country. Macbeth's character is associated with the themes of kingship, the supernatural, good and evil, honour and manhood, the imagination, conscience, appearance versus reality, deceit, equivocation, and ambition. You could be faced with a question on the character of Macbeth, but you are equally within your right to bring in some of this information for questions on any of these themes. Shakespeare uses the motifs of blood and clothing throughout the play, and they are closely linked with the character of Macbeth. so perhaps when you're next reading the play, you could think about that. And that's all from me. Be sure to check out some of the other videos we put together on Macbeth, and thank you very much for watching.